What if chasing happiness is exactly what's making you unhappy? What if the harder you push towards success, the farther it seems to slip from your grasp? This is the paradox at the heart of the backwards law. The idea that wanting a positive experience too desperately can actually lead to a negative one, while embracing discomfort and uncertainty can open the door to something truly meaningful. Picture this. You've set your sights on becoming a wildly successful entrepreneur. You're all in, working late nights, sacrificing weekends, and obsessing over every detail. But instead of feeling closer to your dream, you feel weighed down by frustration. The gap between where you are and where you want to be grows painfully obvious. Every step forward seems to remind you how far you still have to go. Your self-esteem takes a hit, your well-being suffers, and suddenly, the dream feels more like a burden than a source of inspiration. This is where Epicurus's ancient wisdom comes into play. If you wish to be rich, do not add to your money, but subtract from your desires. In other words, fulfillment doesn't come from relentless striving. It comes from shifting your perspective. The backwards law suggests that when we chase after happiness or success with too much intensity, we often end up feeling worse than when we started. Paradoxically, it's in letting go of that desperate need for control that we begin to find what we're looking for. It's not about giving up on ambition or hard work. It's about balance. The backwards law challenges the common narrative that more effort always equals more results. Sometimes stepping back and accepting where you are, flaws, struggles, and all, is the key to moving forward. It's not about ignoring goals. It's about loosening your grip on them so they don't suffocate you. So ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped resisting discomfort? What if embracing the chaos was the secret to finding peace? Sometimes letting go is how we finally move closer to what we've been chasing all along. Have you ever sensed that you're trapped on a relentless treadmill, tirelessly exerting effort, yet seemingly going nowhere? This sensation is increasingly prevalent in our fast-paced modern existence. Society often preaches that success is a direct result of hard work and unwavering determination. The more effort we invest, the greater our outcomes ought to be. However, what if this widely accepted notion is fundamentally flawed? Let's take a moment to explore an alternative viewpoint. What if all this relentless striving and pushing is inadvertently working against our interests? While it may seem counterintuitive, emerging research indicates that our ceaseless pursuit of success and happiness could, paradoxically, be the very force that hinders our progress. This perspective is anchored in the concept of hedonic adaptation, a fascinating psychological phenomenon which posits that individuals quickly revert to a baseline level of happiness, regardless of the positive or negative experiences they undergo. In simpler terms, no matter how diligently we work or what milestones we achieve, we effortlessly acclimate to our new realities, returning to our original level of emotional satisfaction. Consider this. How often have you reached a long-sought goal only to discover that the joy and contentment you anticipated were fleeting? Perhaps you finally secured that coveted promotion after working tirelessly for years, yet after a brief period of exhilaration, you found yourself emotionally back at square one. This incessant cycle of striving, achieving, and then adapting often leads to a continuous state of discontentment as we find ourselves perpetually chasing the next major accomplishment in hopes of uncovering lasting happiness. The impacts of this constant pursuit extend far beyond mere feelings of dissatisfaction. Research has demonstrated that when we become overly fixated on our performance and the outcomes of our endeavors, it can, in fact, impede our ability to perform at our best. This phenomenon, commonly referred to as paralysis by analysis, occurs when overthinking our actions disrupts our ability to engage fully in the task at hand. Ironically, in our well-intentioned quest for success, we may unwittingly sabotage our efforts. Compounding this issue is the societal framework that reinforces the mentality of relentless striving. We are inundated with messages urging us to work harder, be more productive, and reject complacency. The rise of social media exacerbates this pressure, bombarding us with meticulously curated snapshots of others' achievements and successes. This creates a deceptive narrative that suggests we must do more, be more, and possess more in order to attain genuine happiness and success. But what if there's a transformative alternative? What if the secret to achieving our desires and unearthing true fulfillment lies not in striving harder, but in learning to let go? This is where the intriguing concept of the backwards law enters the conversation. It posits that by loosening our tight grip on our goals and the desired outcomes of our efforts, we might cultivate an environment conducive to more organic success. Further complicating this narrative is the phenomenon known as the paradox of choice. This idea suggests that the more options we are faced with, coupled with our efforts to make the right decision, the less satisfied we ultimately become. When inundated with choices, we may experience decision paralysis, leading to heightened dissatisfaction. We find ourselves caught in a perpetual cycle of comparing our chosen path to the alternatives we did not select, fostering feelings of FOMO, fear of missing out. This constant comparison can intensify feelings of regret and self-reproach when our outcomes fail to meet our expectations. So, what does all this imply for our lives? Are we condemned to an existence characterized by relentless striving and unending dissatisfaction? Not necessarily. The backwards law offers a potential pathway toward a more fulfilling approach, suggesting that a shift in mindset could lead us to achieve our desires without the overwhelming pressure to constantly chase success. But what precisely is this law, and how can we implement it to improve our emotional and psychological well-being? Have you ever pondered the notion that the path to realizing our deepest desires might not be found in relentless pursuit, but rather in a gentle release? This intriguing proposition forms the foundation of what is known as the backwards law, a principle that upends traditional beliefs surrounding success and personal fulfillment. On the surface, this idea may strike one as nonsensical, especially considering the widespread belief that hard work, tenacity, and unwavering determination are the essential pillars of achievement. But what if adhering too closely to this time-honored wisdom is in fact a barrier to reaching our true potential? The concept of the backwards law, brought to public attention by the insightful philosopher Alan Watts, contends that the more fervently we chase after something, the more it seems to slip through our fingers. This principle is deeply rooted in Eastern philosophies, especially Taoism. Within Taoism, there exists the concept of Wu Wei, which can be translated as non-action or effortless action. This notion presents a remarkable parallel to the backwards law, advocating for a state of being that harmonizes with the natural rhythms of life, rather than imposing our will upon it. Embracing Wu Wei does not imply that we adopt a passive attitude or cease to engage in meaningful action. On the contrary, it encourages us to find a mode of interaction with the world that minimizes resistance and maximizes flow. This idea might feel alien to many of us raised in the goal-driven culture of the West, yet it proposes a refreshing paradigm that liberates us from the exhausting quest for success. To distill this concept further, let's examine a metaphor that Watts often employed. Imagine a rubber band in your hand. When you grasp one end and pull it with force, the opposite end moves away from you. This simple yet profound illustration embodies the essence of how our intense desire and striving can inadvertently propel our goals even further beyond our reach. With every ounce of tension we generate through our efforts, we inadvertently create distance, making our aspirations seem all the more elusive. The implications of the backwards law are far-reaching, influencing not only our professional aspirations, but also deeply affecting our personal lives. Reflect for a moment on instances where you yearned for love or approval from others, perhaps in friendships or romantic endeavors. Often, it is that very desperate search for validation that drives others away, rather than bringing them closer. The backwards law hints that by loosening our grip on this need for acceptance, we can cultivate an environment where authentic relationships can thrive. The principle also extends to our quest for happiness. Watts pointed out that our zealous pursuit of happiness often leads only to discontent. The very act of chasing after happiness can become burdensome, as we continuously measure our present reality against an idealized future. Paradoxically, by embracing and accepting our negative experiences and emotions, we can open ourselves to a more profound state of happiness. Accepting the full range of human feelings, including those that are uncomfortable or challenging, enables us to experience life more authentically and richly. So how can we incorporate this seemingly counterintuitive approach into the pursuit of our goals and ambitions? The backwards law does not advocate for the abandonment of our aspirations or suggest that we should cease striving for what we desire. Rather, it invites us to adjust our focus from the desired outcome to the processes and experiences along the way. Instead of fixating on future milestones, we can learn to appreciate each moment and the journey we embark upon. This transformative shift in perspective has the potential to uncover new pathways and opportunities that we might have previously overlooked. When we release our attachment to specific outcomes, we become more adaptable, open-minded, and resilient. And ironically, this may ultimately enhance our odds of achieving those very goals we long for. By relaxing our firm grip on our desires, we create a fertile space for them to manifest in a more organic and effortless manner. Consider how this perspective might manifest in your personal life. If you're aiming for a promotion at work, instead of obsessively fixating on the title or financial rewards, you could concentrate on the everyday tasks at hand, striving to perform your responsibilities to the best of your ability, honing your skills through continued learning, and cultivating positive relationships with your fellow colleagues. This approach not only enriches your daily experience, but also enhances your visibility and reputation in the workplace. Your genuine efforts and positive demeanor will likely resonate more with your peers and superiors than mere ambition alone. Or think about how this could unveil new dimensions in your quest for personal growth. Instead of adhering to rigid self-improvement plans that may lead to frustration, you could embrace a mindset filled with curiosity and openness to new experiences. This attitude fosters organic development and growth, often in ways that surpass your previous expectations or plans. Ultimately, the backwards law bursts open the door to a re-evaluation of our understanding of success and fulfillment. It proposes that by loosening our grip on our desires and aspirations, we may paradoxically find ourselves in a better position to achieve them. This doesn't imply surrendering our dreams or abandoning our efforts. Rather, it's about striking a harmonious balance between striving and acceptance, between focused effort and effortless action. Imagine the delicate struggle of trying to catch a butterfly. The more vigorously you swing your net in relentless pursuit, the more likely it is that the fragile creature will flutter away, evading your grasp. This charming analogy captures a profound truth about human nature and our often misguided relationship with control. We frequently harbor the belief that if we tighten our grip on the circumstances of our lives, we can steer events toward favorable outcomes. But what if this very desire for control is inadvertently propelling our aspirations even further from our reach? As humans, we are deeply wired with a desire to shape our environments and dictate our futures. We create elaborate plans, set ambitious goals, and invest our energy tirelessly in the quest to achieve them. This innate drive has propelled us toward remarkable milestones throughout history, from groundbreaking scientific discoveries to monumental architectural feats. Yet within this relentless pursuit lies a hidden cost, a constant need for control that we seldom acknowledge. When we perceive that our freedom to choose is constricted, we often react in unexpected yet familiar ways. This behavioral phenomenon, known as psychological reactance, manifests itself in the desire to want something even more fiercely when we feel it is being taken away. For instance, it's akin to a parent warning a child not to touch a hot stove. Suddenly, that stove becomes the most intriguing object in the room. This principle permeates adult life as well, affecting our relationships, career decisions, and even daily choices. Our fervent attempts to exert control over every facet of our existence can sometimes lead to counterproductive outcomes. The often punishing pressure to make the right choice in every situation can become a paralyzing weight on our shoulders. Research on the paradox of choice has revealed that an overabundance of options can lead to decision-making paralysis and lingering dissatisfaction. When confronted with too many choices, The fear of missing out on the best possible option can consume our thoughts, resulting in regret and self-recrimination when reality fails to align with our expectations. This phenomenon extends beyond individual choices to the realm of professional settings. Take Neil, a business owner who took immense pride in his meticulous analysis of every decision within his company. His desire for control led him to create exhaustive reports, holding endless meetings, and seeking every piece of data before making any definitive move. While this strategy might have seemed prudent on the surface, it resulted in missed opportunities and a decline in his company's competitiveness compared to more nimble counterparts. It wasn't until Neil began to trust his intuition and curtail his need for excessive control that his business emerged from stagnation and began to flourish again. These narratives illustrate an essential truth. Our relentless attempts to control every aspect of our lives can often lead to diminishing returns. The energy and resources we expend on managing every possible outcome might be more effectively channeled into adapting and responding to circumstances as they unfold. So, what is the alternative approach? Though it may seem counterintuitive, loosening our tight grip on control can surprisingly lead to improved outcomes. This doesn't imply that we should abandon planning or effort altogether. Rather, it calls for a delicate balance between preparation and the flexibility to adapt when necessary, between striving effectively and accepting life's unpredictability. By embracing the inherent uncertainty of life and relinquishing the desire to control every detail, we can cultivate a profound sense of peace of mind and enhance our relationships with others. This principle finds its roots in both Eastern philosophies and contemporary psychological insights, suggesting that acceptance of life's unpredictability can significantly reduce stress and anxiety. As a result, we position ourselves to respond with greater effectiveness to the challenges that inevitably arise along our journeys. As we explore the intricate landscape of human psychology, a paradoxical phenomenon emerges that challenges our fundamental understanding of happiness. While the pursuit of joy is deeply ingrained in our cultural ethos, mounting evidence suggests that this very quest may be the source of our discontent. This counterintuitive reality raises a profound question. What if our relentless chase for happiness is precisely what's keeping it at arm's length? Our society's obsession with happiness is undeniable. From self-help books to motivational seminars, the message is clear. Happiness is the ultimate goal, and we should spare no effort in its pursuit. However, this cultural fixation on positivity might be leading us astray. Recent research has unveiled a startling truth. The more we actively seek happiness, the more elusive it becomes. At the heart of this paradox lies the concept of the hedonic treadmill, a psychological phenomenon that offers insight into why sustained happiness often feels just out of reach. This theory posits that as individuals achieve higher levels of happiness through external accomplishments, they quickly return to a baseline level of contentment. The implications of this are profound. No matter how much we acquire or achieve, our sense of satisfaction remains relatively constant. The hedonic treadmill operates like an endless loop, constantly pushing us to seek more without ever truly satisfying our desire for happiness. As we attain one goal, we swiftly adapt to our new circumstances, and the initial surge of joy fades. This adaptation prompts us to set new, often loftier targets, perpetuating a cycle of constant striving and fleeting fulfillment. The consequences of overvaluing happiness extend beyond mere disappointment. Studies have shown that placing too much emphasis on the pursuit of positive emotions can paradoxically lead to increased levels of anxiety and depression. When we set unrealistic expectations for our emotional state, we inadvertently create a breeding ground for dissatisfaction and self-criticism. Consider the experience of a recent graduate who lands their dream job. Initially, they might experience a surge of excitement and pride. However, as the novelty wears off and the day-to-day realities of work set in, they may find themselves feeling unexpectedly unfulfilled. The disparity between their anticipated level of happiness and their actual emotional state can lead to feelings of inadequacy and frustration. The advent of social media has significantly exacerbated this issue, creating a virtual arena where the pursuit of happiness takes on new, often destructive dimensions. Platforms like Instagram and Facebook present curated versions of people's lives, showcasing highlight reels that rarely reflect the full spectrum of human experience. This constant exposure to seemingly perfect lives creates unrealistic comparisons, leading individuals to feel inadequate and dissatisfied with their own circumstances. The pressure to present a facade of perpetual happiness online can lead to a disconnection from authentic emotions and experiences. Users may find themselves chasing likes and validation rather than genuine fulfillment, further entrenching them in the cycle of the hedonic treadmill. The result is a paradoxical situation where the very tools meant to connect us and enhance our lives may be contributing to increased levels of anxiety, depression, and overall dissatisfaction. In light of these challenges, it becomes evident that our approach to well-being may require a fundamental shift. The resolution to this happiness paradox lies not in intensifying our pursuit of positive emotions, but in embracing a more nuanced understanding of human experience. Accepting the full range of emotions, including negative ones, may counterintuitively lead to greater overall satisfaction and resilience. This perspective finds support in the wisdom of notable thinkers. Aldous Huxley astutely observed, "The harder we try with the conscious will to do something, the less we shall succeed. Proficiency and results come only to those who have learned the paradoxical art of doing and not doing, or combining relaxation with activity." This insight suggests that true contentment may arise not from forceful striving, but from a more balanced approach that acknowledges both effort and acceptance. By relinquishing our tight grip on the pursuit of happiness, we may create space for a more authentic and sustainable sense of well-being. This doesn't mean abandoning our goals or resigning ourselves to unhappiness. Rather, it involves cultivating a mindset that values the entire spectrum of human emotions and experiences, recognizing that even challenging moments contribute to a rich and meaningful life. We've all encountered the pervasive advice to think positive. It echoes through the pages of self-help books, floods social media feeds, and decorates motivational posters in workplaces and homes. But what if this well-intentioned mantra is inadvertently hindering our progress? Recent research has begun to unravel the notion that our fixation on maintaining a sunny outlook might, in fact, be counterproductive to our well-being and success. Let's take a moment to explore an alternative perspective. Picture a reality where your anxieties and fears transform into powerful allies rather than burdens. This might seem far-fetched, yet mounting evidence indicates that negative thinking, when strategically applied, can yield unexpectedly favorable outcomes. At the heart of this concept is defensive pessimism. Though it sounds complex, it simply refers to the practice of setting intentionally low expectations to reduce anxiety and prepare for potential setbacks. Initially, this may seem illogical. Shouldn't we aspire to lofty heights and cultivate unwavering belief in ourselves? While a healthy dose of confidence certainly has its merits, embracing defensive pessimism can act as a potent resource for many individuals. The mechanism behind defensive pessimism is straightforward. By confronting and recognizing possible barriers, while mentally rehearsing negative scenarios, you liberate cognitive energy that might otherwise be consumed by anxiety. Instead of being paralyzed by the fear of failure, you can channel your focus into the task at hand. It's akin to granting yourself a productive outlet for worry, allowing you to engage more fully with your responsibilities. Consider the last time you were tasked with giving a significant presentation or attending a crucial meeting. Did you find yourself fixating on every nuance, conjuring up images of everything that could possibly go wrong? That's defensive pessimism at work. By weighing potential mishaps in advance, you're more inclined to prepare meticulously, which ultimately enhances your performance when it truly matters. However, defensive pessimism serves more than just preparation for adverse outcomes. It aligns with a broader evolution in how we relate to our emotions. For a long time, societal norms have encouraged us to oust negative feelings and spotlight only the positive aspects of life. Yet, emerging research suggests this mentality might be doing more harm than we realize. The phenomenon termed forced positivity, or toxic positivity, can lead to emotional repression and heightened anxiety levels. When we're compelled to sustain a cheerful demeanor, regardless of our internal state, it fosters a disconnect between our authentic emotions and the persona we present to the world. This internal struggle can be exhausting, leading to overwhelm and a counterproductive mindset. Instead of striving to eradicate negative emotions, experts are now embracing the idea of emotional acceptance. This entails a willingness to acknowledge and fully experience a range of emotions, including those that might be uncomfortable or distressing. By allowing ourselves to engage with the entire spectrum of human emotion, we can process our feelings with greater efficacy and cultivate resilience. Imagine emotions as waves rolling in from the ocean. While we cannot dictate when these waves will break or how powerful they are, we can learn to ride them rather than resist their force. By mastering the art of surfing these emotional waves, we can navigate life's highs and lows with increased fluidity and decreased stress. This approach doesn't advocate for wallowing in negativity or abandoning our aspirations. Rather, it speaks to achieving a balance, utilizing our emotions, both positive and negative, as catalysts for personal growth and self-understanding. By acknowledging our fears and uncertainties, we can unearth valuable insights and motivational drive. Let's consider a practical example to illustrate this concept. A dedicated marketing executive meticulously prepared for an essential presentation over several weeks. She combed through her notes, rehearsing every sentence and anticipating each question with precision. But on the day of her presentation, her delivery came across as stiff and mechanical, her preoccupation with perfection stifling genuine engagement during the meeting. In contrast, a colleague taking a different approach found a more relaxed balance. She also prepared diligently, but allowed herself to embrace the unpredictability of the outcome. By accepting that the presentation might not unfold flawlessly, she delivered a more dynamic and authentic performance, garnering a stronger connection with her audience. Her openness to potential imperfections proved to be a surprising key to her success. This scenario underscores a vital lesson. Our attempts to manage every detail can sometimes work against us. By relaxing our hold on absolute control and embracing a degree of uncertainty, we often perform with more ease and confidence. So how can we integrate this understanding into our everyday lives? Start by granting yourself the freedom to experience a full range of emotions, including those typically branded as negative. When feelings of anxiety stir within you regarding a particular situation, focus on channeling that energy into thoughtful preparation instead of attempting to suppress it. And remember, it's completely normal to harbor doubts or concerns. They do not define your identity or dictate your potential for success. Now that we've delved into the transformative power of embracing our emotions, let's critically examine another entrenched belief in the realm of personal development: the notion that establishing clear, specific goals is paramount to achieving success. What if I proposed that, in fact, your goals might be a hindrance to your progress? Goal setting has long been touted as a fundamental aspect of self-improvement strategy. We frequently hear advice to jot down our ambitions, compile vision boards filled with aspirational imagery, and visualize our success in vivid detail. However, emerging research points to a surprising reality. This widely endorsed method may not be as beneficial as we've been conditioned to think. This brings us to the intriguing idea of goal-free living. This philosophy advocates for a shift away from an obsession with specific outcomes and toward a focus on savoring the journey itself. Picture it like planning a road trip without a predetermined destination. In doing so, you might stumble upon unexpected gems along the way, discovering hidden treasures and experiences you had no idea existed. But what does this look like in real life? Research has identified a phenomenon known as performance anxiety. This occurs when we become so fixated on achieving our objectives that we inadvertently sabotage our progress. It's comparable to the struggle of trying to fall asleep. Focusing too intently on the act often results in frustration and restlessness. A similar issue is paralysis by analysis, where we overthink every little detail to the point of inaction. Imagine an accomplished basketball player who becomes overly concerned about making the perfect shot. The more they obsess over it, the more they hesitate and ultimately miss the basket entirely. Sometimes, relinquishing that intense, narrow focus can actually enhance performance and lead to greater success. Additionally, there's the concept of diminishing returns associated with goal setting. Think of your favorite dish. While the first bite may be heavenly, by the 10th bite, that same meal might lose its luster. With intricate tasks, pouring in more effort does not always translate to proportional improvements in results. In such cases, taking a step back and adopting a more laid-back mindset can yield astonishing advantages. Intrinsic motivation, which emanates from within ourselves, is when we engage in activities purely for the joy or significance they bring us. Conversely, extrinsic motivation hinges on external incentives such as rewards or recognition. Studies show that intrinsic motivation often fosters more sustainable success and greater fulfillment over time. So, how do we translate this understanding into actionable steps in our lives? The answer may lie in the concept known as the backwards law. This principle emphasizes the effectiveness of concentrating on systems rather than rigid goals. Instead of fixating on achieving a specific target, such as losing a certain number of pounds, direct your focus to the processes and daily actions that will lead you toward your desired outcomes. For instance, instead of setting a quantifiable goal to shed 20 pounds, consider prioritizing the development of healthy eating habits, relishing the experience of cooking nutritious meals, and incorporating enjoyable physical activities into your routine. By shifting your attention to these regular habits and practices, you may find yourself achieving lasting changes without the stress of eyeing a specific target on the scale. This approach does not imply the complete abandonment of structure or direction in life. Instead, it encourages a harmonious balance between having a general sense of where you wish to go, while remaining open to unanticipated opportunities that may arise along the way. It's akin to sailing. You may have a destination in mind, but you're willing to adjust your sails in response to shifting winds and changing tides. By loosening our grip on exact outcomes, we cultivate an environment where creativity, adaptability, and unexpected discoveries can flourish. This mindset enhances our resilience when confronted with setbacks, as our sense of accomplishment is no longer tethered to a single result. Instead, we learn to cherish the journey itself, which often leads to improved performance and a deeper sense of gratification in our pursuits. As we've explored how loosening our grip on outcomes can enhance our lives, let's turn to an even more fundamental aspect of human experience. Have you ever wondered if your earnest search for life's meaning could be the very thing preventing you from finding it? Many of us spend countless hours pondering the purpose of our existence. We read self-help books, attend workshops, and embark on spiritual journeys, all in the hope of uncovering some grand meaning to our lives. It's a noble pursuit, but what if this constant quest is actually making our lives feel less meaningful? Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust, had a groundbreaking insight about meaning. He believed that meaning isn't something we can chase down directly. Instead, it shows up as a natural result of living our lives fully. Frankl said, "Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose." This suggests that meaning comes from how we engage with life, not from searching for it. Interestingly, research backs up this idea. Studies have found that people who obsessively look for meaning in their lives often end up feeling more empty and unsatisfied. It's like they're so focused on finding the big picture that they miss all the small, meaningful moments happening right in front of them. Think about it like this. Have you ever been so caught up in trying to have a good time that you forgot to actually enjoy yourself? The same principle applies here. When we're constantly asking, "What's the meaning of all this?" we might be missing out on the very experiences that could provide that meaning. The effects of feeling like your life lacks meaning can be pretty serious. A study from 2022 found that people who felt their lives were meaningless were more likely to experience depression and anxiety. It's like there's this big empty space in their lives that nothing seems to fill. But here's the twist. Meaning often shows up when we least expect it. It's in the small moments of connection with others, the satisfaction of a job well done, or the simple joy of a beautiful sunset. These aren't things we can force or schedule. They happen naturally when we're fully present in our lives. Consider this. Have you ever had a conversation with a friend that started out as small talk, but suddenly turned into a deep, meaningful exchange? Or maybe you've experienced a moment of unexpected clarity while doing something routine, like washing dishes or taking a walk. These are the kinds of experiences that often leave us feeling like we've touched on something meaningful, even if we can't quite put our finger on why. So, if actively searching for meaning might be counterproductive, what's the alternative? The answer might lie in simply engaging more fully with life itself. Instead of constantly questioning the purpose of everything, we might find more satisfaction in immersing ourselves in our relationships, our work, our hobbies, and our communities. This doesn't mean we should never think about the bigger picture. Reflection and introspection have their place, but perhaps we can approach them more lightly, as part of the natural ebb and flow of life, rather than an all-consuming quest. Frankl's idea about meaning being a byproduct suggests an interesting approach. When we focus on contributing to others' lives or pursuing activities that align with our values, we often stumble upon a sense of purpose without even trying. It's like meaning sneaks up on us when we're busy living. Various philosophical traditions, including Buddhism, have long recognized this paradox. They suggest that our attachment to finding meaning can actually create suffering. On the flip side, when we practice acceptance and presence, we often find a deeper connection to life itself. So, what might this look like in practice? It could mean throwing yourself into a hobby you love, not because it's going to change the world, but simply because you enjoy it. It might involve deepening your relationships, not with the goal of finding your life's purpose, but because connection itself is valuable. Or it could mean volunteering in your community, not to feel important, but because helping others feels good. We've talked about how letting go can improve different parts of our lives. Now, let's look at how this idea applies to love and relationships. Many of us spend a lot of time and energy trying to find the perfect partner or improve our existing relationships. But what if all this effort is actually making it harder to find and keep love? Recent studies have shown that actively seeking love can sometimes backfire. It's like trying to catch a butterfly. The more you chase it, the more it flies away. This doesn't mean we should give up on love altogether. Instead, it suggests that we might need to approach relationships differently. One important factor in how we connect with others is our attachment style. This is the way we learned to form relationships based on our early experiences. Some people have a secure attachment style, which often leads to healthier relationships. Others might have anxious or avoidant styles, which can create problems in connecting with partners. But here's the interesting part. Research shows that working on ourselves can actually improve our relationships. It turns out that self-love isn't just a feel-good phrase, it's backed by science. People who practice self-love tend to have better boundaries, communicate more effectively, and show more empathy. All of these things help create deeper connections with partners. A study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found something surprising. People who focus on accepting themselves and being kind to themselves are more likely to have satisfying, stable romantic relationships. This suggests that the path to a great relationship might start with how we treat ourselves. So, what does this look like in real life? Think about someone who's always jumping from one relationship to another, never feeling satisfied. They might be so focused on finding the one that they're not taking time to understand themselves or grow as a person. On the flip side, someone who takes time to pursue their own interests, work on personal growth, and build a life they love often finds that love comes to them naturally. This brings us to the idea of authentic relating. It's about being genuine in our interactions instead of putting on a show or trying to be what we think others want. Experts say that when we relate to others authentically, we create deeper emotional bonds and better understanding. It's like the difference between a scripted conversation and a real, heartfelt talk with a close friend. But let's be clear, this doesn't mean we should become completely self-absorbed or stop putting effort into our relationships. It's more about finding a balance. When we're secure in ourselves, we're less likely to become overly dependent on our partners or clingy in relationships. We can love and support our partners without losing our own identity. This approach to love and relationships fits with the backwards law we've been discussing. By loosening our grip on the idea of finding perfect love, we might actually create more space for genuine connections to form. It's about shifting our focus from desperately seeking love to becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts healthy relationships. We frequently hear that success is attained by those who hustle, grind, and maintain unwavering determination. However, it's essential to reconsider whether this relentless pursuit of achievement might actually be hindering our progress. Let's explore a fresh perspective on reaching our professional goals. Many of us have been conditioned to believe that the road to success is lined with long hours, unyielding effort, and a laser-focused mindset. We aim for that next promotion, an exciting project, or an impressive salary, convinced that hard work will lead us to our destination. Yet, emerging research indicates that this intense drive for success may not always lead to the desired outcomes. Studies reveal that pushing ourselves to the brink can result in burnout, reduced productivity, and, at times, setbacks. When we maintain an obsessive focus on achievements, we risk overlooking the elements that truly enhance our effectiveness. It's similar to trying to force a plant to grow faster by pulling at its stem. Instead of fostering its growth, we might inadvertently harm it. This is where the concept of flow state becomes relevant. Flow is a state of full immersion in our tasks, where we lose track of time and self-doubt. Often linked with peak performance, flow enables us to produce our best work without the interference of overthinking. However, it's important to note that flow isn't something that can be forced. In fact, striving too hard to enter this state can create mental barriers that hinder our progress. Interestingly, the connection between effort and reward is not always linear. Many activities exhibit diminishing returns. After a certain threshold, increased effort yields diminishing benefits. For example, productivity studies show that people's performance peaks during the first 4 to 5 hours of work. Beyond that, additional hours may lead to significantly lower output. This serves as a reminder that sometimes less truly is more. Our mindset significantly influences how we navigate success. Research indicates that individuals with a growth mindset, those who view challenges as opportunities for growth, tend to excel in professional environments. This perspective fosters resilience and adaptability, qualities essential in today's rapidly evolving workplace. Conversely, a fixed mindset, which views abilities as static, can restrict potential and make setbacks feel insurmountable. By embracing flexibility and loosening our grip on control, we can foster better outcomes. It's about striking a balance between preparation and adaptability, between striving and allowing space for creativity. When we detach ourselves from rigid outcomes, we open ourselves up to a broader range of possibilities. We become more adaptable, more innovative, and ultimately, often more successful. So, how can we implement this approach in our careers? Instead of fixating on inflexible goals, we might concentrate on the process of delivering our best work and nurturing positive relationships. Rather than obsessing over every detail, we can trust in our capabilities and create room for spontaneity and innovation. By shifting our focus from end results to the journey, we may find that success comes more effortlessly and authentically. We've explored the idea that letting go can foster success in our careers, but how does this concept apply to our health? Interestingly, the same principle may hold true for our well-being. In recent years, there has been a notable emphasis on health and wellness in our society. Marked by trendy diets and fitness trackers, it often feels like everyone is striving to maximize their health. However, it's worth considering whether this intense focus might sometimes have unintended consequences. One condition to examine is orthorexia, which manifests as an excessive preoccupation with healthy eating. Individuals with orthorexia may become overly focused on food quality and purity, leading to extreme dietary restrictions and potential social isolation. This situation is connected to a broader phenomenon known as health anxiety, where excessive concern about wellness can drive people to compulsively monitor their health or avoid certain foods out of fear. While being conscientious about health is generally positive, research suggests that chronic stress and anxiety stemming from this obsession can negatively impact our physical well-being. Studies have linked these feelings to issues such as high blood pressure, heart disease, and compromised immune function. For example, a study published in the Journal of Health Psychology indicated that those with elevated anxiety levels reported poorer health outcomes and more physical symptoms. Moreover, some individuals may take their health practices to extremes, engaging in behaviors such as over-exercising or adopting highly restrictive diets. These patterns can lead to fatigue, nutritional deficiencies, and an increased risk of injury. A review in the Journal of Eating Disorders highlighted how extreme dieting can trap individuals in a harmful cycle of binge eating and restriction, a yo-yo effect that adversely affects long-term health. So what can we do to foster a healthier mindset? One promising approach may involve relaxing our health rules a bit. Research suggests that allowing ourselves the occasional indulgence can lead to greater satisfaction and reduced anxiety about food choices. The goal is to strike a balance. Experts are increasingly advocating for a moderate approach to health practices, emphasizing a balanced lifestyle that includes some flexibility in our diets and exercise routines is associated with better long-term health outcomes and higher overall life satisfaction. Ultimately, the pursuit of health should also include the joy of living. Real-life examples illustrate the advantages of this more flexible approach. Many people who transition from strict dieting to intuitive eating report feeling a renewed sense of peace with their bodies, along with decreased anxiety around food. This shift does not equate to abandoning health. Rather, it signifies a commitment to nurturing our well-being without allowing it to dominate our lives. The central idea here is to seek balance in wellness. It's about adopting healthy behaviors while avoiding the pitfalls of perfectionism. Embracing imperfection can lead to enhanced overall health and well-being. When we let go of the stress associated with every health decision, we often find greater happiness and, paradoxically, enhanced health. Consider this. If you are so consumed by the pursuit of the perfect diet that you can't enjoy a meal with friends, are you truly healthy? If you sacrifice sleep to squeeze in extra workouts, is that genuinely beneficial for your body? True health encompasses not only physical well-being, but also mental and social wellness. Striving for balance in all aspects can provide a more fulfilling and sustainable approach to health. The backwards law offers an intriguing approach to reshaping our lives by suggesting that sometimes, the harder we try to attain a goal, the more elusive it becomes. This principle challenges our intrinsic drive to exert control and incessantly push forward, leading to a profound but often counterintuitive insight. Letting go might just be the key to achieving success in various facets of our existence. To truly embody the essence of the backwards law in our daily routines, mindfulness meditation stands out as a highly effective practice. Picture this. By dedicating just 10 minutes each morning or evening, you can create a serene space to focus solely on your breath. As you inhale deeply and exhale slowly, imagine observing your thoughts flit by without judgment or engagement, much like clouds drifting in the sky. This practice fosters an atmosphere of acceptance, allowing you to embrace the present moment and align with life's natural cadence, all fundamental aspects of the backwards law. Reflective journaling, another powerful method, invites you to embark on an introspective journey. Imagine sitting with your journal, pen in hand, and confronting questions such as, what am I clinging to excessively? Or, what changes might occur if I allowed myself to loosen my grip? As you ponder these queries, you may unearth profound insights into how your attachment to specific outcomes is hindering your progress. This reflective process can illuminate areas in your life where unwavering focus transforms into unnecessary stress, opening the door to a more liberated approach. Incorporating daily affirmations into your routine can further strengthen your connection to the teachings of the backwards law. Consider stating affirmations like, I trust the unfolding of my life's journey, or by releasing control, I create space for new opportunities. These affirmations serve as gentle nudges, guiding your thoughts toward acceptance and letting go, which are essential components in successfully applying the backwards law. Another fascinating concept intertwined with the backwards law is the flow state. This mental state represents a moment when you become completely absorbed in an activity, harmoniously blending concentration and enjoyment without excessive deliberation. Flow often manifests when we lessen our fixation on the end result. By consciously relinquishing the tight reins of control and allowing ourselves to trust the process, we open ourselves up to spontaneous and intuitive actions. This embodiment of flow truly reflects the essence of the backwards law, where letting go can lead to unexpectedly positive outcomes. The philosophical roots of the backwards law delve deep into Eastern teachings, particularly within Taoism and Buddhism. These ancient traditions advocate for non-attachment and encourage us to engage with life as it unfolds, rather than forcing desired outcomes. Understanding these philosophical foundations enhances our appreciation for the wisdom behind embracing the backwards law, allowing us to incorporate its teachings more fully into our lives. In the context of mental health, acceptance-based therapies have emerged as powerful tools for managing anxiety and stress. These therapeutic approaches emphasize the importance of embracing your feelings instead of resisting or suppressing them, mirroring the principles of the backwards law. By practicing acceptance, you may discover that your emotions lose their grip on you, subsequently leading to reduced anxiety and an enhanced sense of well-being. To illustrate how these principles can manifest in everyday scenarios, consider the situation of preparing for a job interview. Traditionally, one might engage in exhaustive preparations, rehearsing responses intensely and placing immense pressure on oneself to achieve a flawless performance. Conversely, applying the backwards law in this situation would shift your focus toward acceptance of the inherent uncertainty of the outcome. You could still engage in practical preparations, researching the company and practicing relevant skills, but equally prioritize activities that help you release the attachment to the job itself. Techniques like mindfulness meditation could calm pre-interview jitters, reflective journaling could unpack underlying fears, and affirmations could reinforce the idea that your value isn't confined to this one opportunity. By lowering that self-imposed pressure, you increase the chances of revealing your most authentic and confident self during the interview, which may lead to a more favorable result. Ultimately, the enchanting aspect of the backwards law is its ability to catalyze significant life transformations through seemingly minor shifts in perspective. By consistently weaving these principles into various domains of your life, whether work, relationships, or personal growth, you may begin to experience a profound metamorphosis. You might discover a newfound sense of peace, the enhancement of your relationships, or even an unexpected surge of success in areas that previously felt insurmountable. Just when you thought you had it all figured out, the backwards law throws a curveball. While this approach offers a path to transformation, its application isn't always smooth sailing. Let's explore some of the hidden pitfalls that can trip up even the most dedicated practitioners. One of the biggest challenges in applying the backwards law is overcoming our deeply ingrained beliefs about effort and success. Many of us have been taught that working harder always leads to better results. But this isn't always true. Take the example of Navy SEAL training, where drown-proofing teaches a counterintuitive lesson. Struggling to stay afloat can actually lead to drowning, while letting go allows you to rise to the surface naturally. This powerful metaphor shows how sometimes less effort can yield better outcomes. Another common stumbling block is performance anxiety. When we focus too much on achieving a specific result, like giving a flawless presentation, we can become our own worst enemies. This intense focus can narrow our attention and disrupt our natural flow, leading to more mistakes. It's a classic case of trying too hard and ending up with worse results than if we had just relaxed and trusted our abilities. The paradox of choice is another tricky aspect of applying the backwards law. In our modern world, we're often faced with an overwhelming number of options. While choice can be good, too much of it can lead to decision paralysis and constant second-guessing. When we have too many choices, we might struggle to make decisions at all, or feel regret and anxiety about the choices we do make. This can really get in the way of our overall well-being and make it harder to practice acceptance. In today's always-on society, there's immense pressure to be constantly available and productive. This expectation can make it really tough to apply the principles of the backwards law. The blurring of lines between work and personal life can lead to burnout and overwhelm. It's hard to practice mindfulness and acceptance when you feel guilty for taking a break or disconnecting. This constant connectivity can create a cycle of anxiety and stress that goes against the very essence of letting go. So, how do we navigate these challenges? The key lies in finding a balance between acceptance and action. While the backwards law encourages us to let go, it doesn't mean we should become completely passive. Instead, it's about engaging with life without forcing outcomes. This approach allows us to flow more harmoniously with the challenges we face, rather than constantly fighting against the current. One practical way to start is by incorporating short mindfulness practices into your day. Even just 10 minutes of meditation in the morning or evening can help cultivate a sense of acceptance and presence. This simple practice can create a foundation for applying the backwards law in other areas of your life. Another helpful tool is reflective journaling. Take some time each day to explore your attachments and the potential benefits of letting go. This can help you identify areas where you might be trying too hard and give you insights into how to apply the backwards law more effectively. It's also important to remember that embracing the difficulties of applying the backwards law can actually deepen your practice. When you recognize that challenges are part of the journey, you can start to see obstacles as opportunities for growth rather than threats. This perspective shift can help you build resilience and gain a deeper understanding of your own desires and motivations. As you work on applying the backwards law, be patient with yourself. It's normal to struggle with letting go, especially in a society that often values constant striving. Remember that this is a practice, and like any skill, it takes time to develop. Celebrate small victories and be kind to yourself when you find it challenging. As we wrap up our exploration of the backwards law, it's clear that this principle holds immense power to transform our lives. By letting go of our tight grip on control and outcomes, we create space for spontaneity and deeper connections. This aligns beautifully with Eastern philosophies that teach non-attachment and effortless action. Aldous Huxley captured this idea perfectly when he said, "The harder we try with the conscious will to do something, the less we shall succeed." This paradox invites us to find a balance between effort and relaxation. It's not about completely giving up on our goals, but rather approaching them with a lighter touch. I encourage you to experiment with this approach in your daily life. Notice what happens when you loosen your grip on expectations and allow things to unfold naturally. You might be surprised by the results. What could you achieve by doing less and trusting more in the flow of life?